secondarily, I think we're live. Like, actually live. See that red light? That is a live light.
We're back.
We're back.
Technicality is
oh my
back.
Gosh.
Episode
It's been
11.
a little while. It's been a month?
Around that.
Around that.
So for those of you who have missed the first 10 riveting episodes,
yeah,
this is the host, Jordan Lloyd.
Thank you.
And I am
Also the host. Joanne Yao.
Hello.
And, we both lead very busy lives. And evidently, we ran into some busyness in our lives. And we needed to take a little breather from the old YouTube. But we're back. We're excited to be back. And we've got a new camera.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like we might have a camera crew, but we don't. We actually just have a new camera that has multiple different angles, and it's just one camera, which is, we are a tech podcast.
True.
And so as I thought about it, I thought, we really need to take the whole tech thing more seriously. And on top of that, we always used to be like, and we're live, and we weren't actually live.
So now, we were live, just the video wasn't live.
That's true. But now we can actually say, we are live.
Yes.
So
with the tech, with the law, with it all.
Technicality, everything.
Yes.
So today we have 3 interesting topics. We're going to try to cover 3. If we don't have time for 3, we'll see what we can cover. But the 3 we're going to cover today are, the first one is Elon Musk came out with NeuraLink, which he's secretly been working on for 2 years that nobody knew about. And he kind of just dropped this on us. Like, everyone was kind of like, what the heck just happened? So we'll get into that because I'm fascinated by that. It's a computer-brain interface. So a CBI, which already exists, but he's obviously, like the electric car, made much better.
Right.
The second one is that there's a lot of people shiting on the new iPhones because they're kind of like saying, 2019, they're basically holding back a lot of the good stuff, if you know what I mean. In 2020, will be the year to buy one. So
yes, and for all our loyal listeners out there, you will know that I will never pass up an opportunity to take down the iPhones. However, I have some thoughts about the new Samsung Galaxy S10.
Which you own.
I just got it.
iPhone user, Samsung user. So, we have our disagreements, but overall, we make it work. And the final topic is a kind of really sad, it's really sad case. And it's more of a legal side case that I'm kind of really intrigued in. And it's this cruise ship incident that happened recently with this toddler. And essentially, we'll get more into it, but in a nutshell, the grandfather put this baby basically on a ledge. The window was open. He sort of didn't realize that, I guess, which we can get into.
Right.
And the baby fell out the window and was killed, which is horrifying.
Yes.
But there's a lot of questions around, should they sue the ship? Should the grandpa be liable? Anyways, we'll get into all that stuff. I'm very intrigued by that from a legal perspective. Yeah.
Yes.
So let's start with NeuraLink. So Elon Musk, working on this for 2 years, okay?
Right. Is this not like those movies where you plug in a thing into your brain port and
kind of?
You know that movie I'm talking about?
Yeah. No, but yes.
Okay.
I know. Yes, it is that, and it's basically initially, can you sort of transfer that analog signal from your brain into a digital signal, which you can then connect to things like your phone or
wait, so you're saying
anything.
When I think of analog signals, I'm thinking of zeros and ones. So 0,
That's
1,
a
0,
digital
0.
signal.
Oh.
Yeah, the analog would be the literal spikes in your neurons as as they're firing across the synapses. That would be the analog signal they're pulling out and turning into ones and zeros.
So it's
with
essentially
this little chip.
Yes and no's then. Yes is a fire, no is a fire. Fire, no, 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 fire, no. Oh,
exactly. And
Morse code almost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And with algorithms, they can look at those little spikes and they can say, oh, we can interpret what Joanne was trying to think about or what she was trying to do with her thoughts.
Good luck with that, Elon Musk. There's a
that
lot
might be
going
tricky
on
with with you. So it's pretty cool. So they created a robot that installs it because it's very small. And so basically what I didn't realize is this field has been around for like a long time, right? With people who are paraplegic.
Oh, of course.
Right.
Of course.
Right. So as soon as you say it, people are like, oh. Also, have you ever seen those hearing aids where it's sort of the hearing aid, but then there's also this plastic thing connected to their...
Yeah, it's implanted into...
Yeah. That's also a BCI, a brain-computer interface, a BCI or CBI. So they're out there, they exist, they've been around for a while. Elon Musk clearly was like, I have billions of dollars sitting around. Why don't I make this better? And why don't I make it more efficient? And why don't I make it so that people could use their phones or their computer, control a mouse with their brain?
So then all the naysayers come on out and be all practical, and I'm sure they're bringing up issues of data privacy, of interception, of mind control, if you can hack into those signals. Have those issues been discussed? Because that's, as playing devil's advocate, that's the first thing that I would say is, okay, this is great technology. Right. How do we make it safe? How do we make it secure? How do you preserve your thoughts into just your thoughts?
Yeah. So, I mean, in terms of hacking it doesn't like control your brain. All it's really doing is intercepting. It's like these little tiny like fibers, basically, like a tenth of the diameter of your hair. Okay. Like your hair is small. This is like really small. That's why a robot has to install it. They kind of go into the goo of your brain, right? And then they just kind of intercept those pulses.
Oh, so you have to think the thought first, and then it reads the thought.
Exactly. It's not like giving you thoughts. It's basically just intercepting those pulses that are already going on, those electric pulses. Okay. And then, again, switching it to digital. And then just a Bluetoothy type connection to whatever, your phone, an external hardware device, whatever the case may be.
So is this not just the next technological step from what we talked about before with the chip in the hands?
So his vision for it is to essentially interface us with things like artificial intelligence so that they don't just take us over, basically. So we have a computer brain interface right now. It's our phones.
I'm not following.
So basically, we can't control it with our brains. Yeah. But it's all of the information we could ever want at our fingertips through this computer, right? So it's an interface to getting from the computer to your brain.
So I see like the metaphor here. So you're basically saying instead of the fibers running into our brain goo, we come up with the thoughts and our fingers just access. And that's what you're saying.
Exactly. Okay. And there's a lot of research into the fact that our fingers and our mouths are highly inefficient for communication. They're really slow, and they don't move as quickly as like our thoughts are trying to. And there's a lot of misinterpretation that happens, et cetera, et cetera. So they're basically saying, look, our fingers and our hands, and like how you think in your own head. Yeah. You could do that and write me a text and then send it just like in your head. That's basically what he's basically trying to be like, look, why would you use your fingers when you can think the text or whatever, the email, it's endless.
What about the brain filter, though? There are some thoughts that I think about people, and I think, no, filter, you got to step in. Like, what if my brain thought goes out faster than my filter can?
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Oh, man. I don't know how much lawyers are liked, but lawyers will be really disliked if the filter's slow.
I don't think it'll just like... It very directly has to like know that you're like, you have to be like, I want a text, and it'll learn that. Okay. So it'll learn the like what is firing in your brain when you say, I want to make a text.
Can I tell you how many emails I've even sent where I've just sent the email and I thought 2 minutes later, I probably shouldn't have sent that, but oh well.
Yeah. Well, if you're heated, they have the old 24-hour rule, which I feel like you've helped me remember sometimes.
Like when you buy a gun in the States, you have like a cool off period.
Yeah. Well, it's like, just wait 24 hours before you send it, and then see what happens. Yeah. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, what would be interesting is it would make our phones more efficient. I'd be curious to know too, like, what does a phone look like when you can just use your brain to, create text and stuff? You don't need a keyboard. You don't need, you don't necessarily need to see things the same way.
Well, it would need to communicate back to us, though, because you're telling me that this is a one-way communication. We think the thoughts and it goes to our phone, but our phone still needs to talk to us. I mean, they can't communicate to us, or can they?
Well, so eventually, I mean, I don't know. I feel like it would still be our eyes that receive the input back in that says you've confirmed whatever it is that you're trying to do.
Right.
But I think long term, there's a lot of interest in like how this could affect depression and different like brain things that happen, and how they could be sort of reading those impulses and understanding how they control your day-to-day life. It would be really intriguing to figure that out.
Sure.
So, I think, and here's the other one that we could basically have. We would almost have telepathy. So if I was like in your contact list and we were sitting here right now, we could like quietly be like, hey Joanne, there's zero, oh my God, there's one person watching us on YouTube. That's not great, but it's not terrible.
Keep thinking positive.
But you know what I mean? We could have like a telepathic conversation with Elon Musk's NeuraLink. I'm just saying, that would be kind of cool. I would try it.
That would be cool. I still have the same reservations I have, but like exponentially so, as I had with the subdermal microchip.
Ooh, yeah. Which I still might get.
Which I still will witness.
Be horrified.
Yeah, like horrifically.
Yeah, that one's kind of cool. I think that one would be a fun one to just experiment with and see, does it actually like open the door? Does it do it consistently? Does it like move around in your hand? And then you're like, where'd it go? I can't find it. And then you get like a bulge in your neck and someone's like, oh, what's that thing in your neck? And you're like, oh, that must be my chip that I lost. Anyways, the one main thing that can happen with NeuraLink is brain hemorrhaging if it moves around too much, which is a similar thing that can happen with computer brain interfaces with people that are doing it for like people that are paraplegic that can't move their mouths, that kind of thing.
Right.
But
I can clearly see the good in that. I just always think about what if it's used for evil. I still do. I mean, not to say that it should stop innovation, totally. But I just always see the way it could be abused, exploited, stolen by espionagists.
Espionagists.
I was trying to think of the word spies, and I got really fancy. I thought espionage.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, or spies, as regular people would say.
Yeah, I mean, I could see how they could interfere with your ability, or your attempt to communicate with your device, or something like that, which I could see getting sketchy. But yeah. So NeuraLink, check it out. It's worth looking into, and it's worth following. And the thing that he revealed actually during the presentation, which I guess people on the team didn't even know he was going to reveal, is they're kind of like asking him about, because they have to use monkeys, they have to use rats, and people get very upset about that, and understandably so. But so Elon basically goes, well, look, we have a monkey right now controlling a computer. Like that is literally, like, there's a monkey somewhere in Menlo Park in California, and he's like browsing YouTube and like watching other monkeys on YouTube or something with his brain.
Which is actually quite fun. I think it was a primate of some kind. I won't say monkey, maybe it was a baboon, I don't really know, but was scrolling through like Instagram or Facebook, and it was just laid out so intuitively that
could figure it out.
That any primate could do it.
That's pretty cool. All right, next topic, 2019 iPhones. The word on the street is they're not so hot, and everything I've been hearing is they don't have a lot of the sort of new technology, such as 5G, which is like how we're all gonna communicate instead of 4G eventually, right? So, and then the other thing that they removed, which kind of speaks to the broader topic of killing features or killing products that don't work. So Apple created this thing called 3D Touch, where basically depending on how hard you press on your screen, it it pulls it harder or like zooms in on a photo or whatever.
So it's like touch sensitive to pressure as far as how much you want to zoom in or how fast you want to scroll.
Yeah, or like a link, it like pops the link open or that kind of thing. And they kind of touted this as like revolutionary technology.
Yeah.
None of the 2019 iPhones are going to have it, like the new ones.
Are they just waiting for the next generation, or is it that it was promised to be in this?
I think they're killing it off, which everyone's like, ooh, interesting. So,
which really goes back, in my point of view, to how much I love phones that still had buttons. I think we talked about how much I do miss my BlackBerry for the purpose that I could actually type, and I like the feeling of buttons. But since it's not cool to have a BlackBerry, I don't have a BlackBerry anymore. And then they had the screen that you could actually click onto, which was also a very satisfying click. So maybe it was just waiting for BlackBerries to die off, and then iPhones were thinking about bringing that back, because it truly is a psychologically very satisfying thing to do, is push buttons and push your screen and hearing the click and feeling the click.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that they were kind of trying to emulate buttons in a way.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes sense, because it's got that haptic feedback where it kind of gives a bit of a, like it kind of like clicks almost as you're pressing on it. But yeah, supposedly in 2020 they'll remove the notch, which is like the big, everyone hates the notch, right?
Notch, which is
the thing at the top that kind of like juts out. It's a notch in the top of the phone, which I think, like, let me just look at your phone. So yours doesn't have the notch because they've just lowered the like actual screen below the cameras.
Right.
So Apple was like, we're gonna put the cameras have more screen, but you'll have a notch. And people were like, oh my God, why is there a notch? Anyways, the notch will be gone in 2020, supposedly.
As crowds of people are panicking over this.
And then supposedly in 2022, they're going to create a technology where you can use your fingerprint anywhere on the screen.
Is that not already doable?
I don't know. It might be.
Oh.
Apple is usually a little bit late to the party, but I feel like they're late to the party because they want to make sure the technology actually works well. Whereas, like, Samsung puts out a foldable phone and it like breaks immediately and everyone's kind of like choked about it. But it's like they're willing to take more risks, right? Like Samsung's willing to take more risks with this new technology. And I think that's also their whole business model is like, well, we're like ahead of Apple.
Yeah.
It's like you're ahead in the sense that you released it. Apple has it too.
Right.
They just haven't released it yet. It's not like they wait and then are like, oh my gosh, what? People want filters that go over their face and make them look old? Like that, they don't just like wait around for good ideas. They're working on the same thing. They just like, they're not willing to put it out as quickly.
Which, I mean, notwithstanding the fact that they're all the Russian app issue with that it's called Face app, right?
Face app, yeah. We should have talked about that.
We should have talked about that. But I actually have a very clever take on the way someone has gotten around to it, which I wish I thought of first. And, if you're out there listening, you know that this is you. That so Face app is supposed to make you look like whatever, 80 years old, 70 years old. So a friend of mine who's in his mid-40s, he's Chinese, takes a picture of himself and says, this is me at 80 years old, just Asian don't raisin.
Oh, it's just like a picture of him.
It was, and
that's like kind of funny.
It was so funny that when I first thought, I wish I thought of it myself. And it's one of those like, do I steal it? And I tried to pass it off on my own. No, he'll know, and then he'll know I'm a fake.
You could have like commented on it and been like, oh my God, same, and then like it was just the same picture, but it's just another Asian person, just like agreeing with them.
I think philosophically, there's
still time.
I can't steal other people's intellectual property, especially when it's my friends, since I do intellectual property law, and it's kind of frowned upon.
Yeah.
To steal jokes.
It's true. You could do, because they have a young one, you could be like, just post a picture of Aoife and be like, I did the young filter, and it's like me when I'm 7.
Hey,
6.
And speaking of which, and I know I was going to talk about the shortcomings of the Samsung phone, but since we're talking about this, my so I have the Surface Pro laptop from Microsoft, and it has, to unlock the computer, it's got face recognition, so I don't have to type in my password anymore. It just like pops up and it says, hey, you're Joanne. My daughter evidently looks so much like me.
No.
Yes.
It works?
Yes. She can open it up and the computer's like, hey, Joanne, welcome back to the 75-page document you've worked 6 days
Her
on.
little tiny face.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. And she's like, how do I get rid of this so I can draw? I'm like, no, I worked on that document for 7 straight days.
How do I confirm this email telling this person they're going to be sued? No! How do I threaten litigation, Mommy? Later down the road, wait till you're in law school.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cute. Well, that's a little bit. I've heard that though, that you can crack. Same with the fingerprint. Like it's like, at least with the sensors, it's like you don't have the same fingerprint as someone else, like, as you don't have the same face as her, but it's close enough that the algorithm's like, maybe, and just lets them in.
I just want to tell the computer, like, I paid really good money for you, and you can't even tell a 6-year-old from I won't tell you how old I am, but clearly the mother of a 6-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And so speaking of shortcomings, I'm going to go back to this Samsung Galaxy S10, which I had to go to the store before my contract's even up, so I still have to pay the end of my SA.
What are they on now? Are they on the 10 or what are they
on? It is 10.
Okay.
Yeah, and anyway, so I was sold on how cool it was going to be because what it was supposed to have removed the indicator light that tells you, hey, you got a text, hey, you have a WhatsApp, hey, you have a notification, and the LED shows up the different. No, it was fantastic. It was great, but they said that now instead of the little light popping up in the corner, and I'll show you, instead of the little light popping up here, what happens is the ring around your camera, they call it the camera cutout, will blip in different colors, and so it kind of gets rid of the whole need to black out this whole top part of your screen. So they can extend the picture all the way to the top and just the little ring.
Yeah, and that's your version of the notch.
Oh, well, see, okay, then I love the notch. But
eventually, and this is what they're talking about, eventually you won't see that, but it'll still be there.
Right.
Well, and that's what they're saying Apple will do in 2020.
You know what would be really cool is if that actually worked. Because, number one, it doesn't come standard that little ring pops up. You have to install like a Samsung Galaxy app to make that work. And even when you do that,
it's weird.
So when you text me, because it comes through the standard text messaging, like the Messenger app on the phone.
Oh, like they have to read all your texts to like let you use the.
Well, I wish it would read my like WhatsApp text and everything
Samsung with
else.
the data grab, I like it.
But it won't even do it. There's not even an app that exists to. Wow. So now, if I want to find out if somebody WhatsApped me, because WhatsApp is a third-party app, I have to tap my phone. See, did I get a notification, and then double tap on it to get to my lock screen and get the preview.
Wow, that's like 9 extra steps that are unnecessary because they wanted to like withhold the ability to like light up who. It's like how Apple does the iMessage thing where like your messages show up in green and the normal ones show up in blue. Like if you have an iPhone, it's all blue messages because they have iMessage. It's how they get people, right? Because they go, well, if your friends have Samsungs, Joanne, then you get to see the flash thing when they. But if you use WhatsApp, that's. Or if you have iPhone friends, you're gonna have to download our third-party app, install it with each contact, and that's creepy. As soon as you have a third-party app for your texts, like I thought about installing that one that corrects your type, like your. Like autocorrect, but what's the nicer one? I'm going blank on it right now, but it's like you install it, and so I install it, and I allow the permissions, whatever, and the permissions like allow it to read all your text messages, and I was like, why would it? And so the reason it needs to do that is because it's reading them through an algorithm, then feeding back to you like, hey, try this, try this noun differently or whatever, like remove the verb or like. So it's like creepy though because you're like, well, should I let them like read all my?
So at least you can complain about that.
Yeah.
I still have to go on these forums to know that my phone has the potential to take my data and read my data like that. I can't even do that. I'm sick of reading about the S10's potential. Just deliver already. Just deliver.
It's a little disappointing. Okay, final topic, because you're probably... you have 4 minutes.
Sure do.
So very quickly then, really the underlying question for me is a cruise ship liable for having a window open that's much higher than any child could get out of, right? in a children's play area,
Mm-hmm.
okay, which is what the parents are arguing. I think that's what's sketchy, right? It's like, well, it's a children's play area, so,
Yeah.
But how does one go about that if it was an open window?
Right. So, and I saw a couple clips of this when I was looking at the news story, and it truly is like this cruise ship is like almost floor to ceiling windows, but they're segmented panels.
Sure.
You've got big rectangles on top of each other. And with how clean those windows can be, you may or may not be able to tell whether the window's open or not. So, I think that the primary responsibility for something like that, because cruise ships that have childcare centers should foresee that kids could fall out this window, because even if it wasn't an adult putting them up, furniture sometimes gets moved around, chairs get climbed up upon. Windows just should not be able to open wide enough to let a child through. Like, that's just hands down. So, number one, there's that. Number two, there's no warnings about it anywhere, as far as I could tell. Anyway, I saw like the taped off area. I couldn't see,
the actual ledge and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, it didn't look like it.
Didn't look like there's any warnings. So number one, windows open too wide. Number two, there's no warnings. Number three, what manufacturer said to this cruise ship liner, hey, maybe you shouldn't install these where kids might be, or only install them if they're
like 10
over
feet
6
off
feet
the ground or something crazy.
Right. So I think, though, that because anytime liability with a big dollar sign and bad PR is associated with it, dead toddler, nobody wants that PR.
No,
so
you settle.
Yeah, so their defense to come back as, well, Grandpa should have known.
What if they charge the grandpa, though?
They could.
Probably makes the negligence a much harder case, would it not?
I've heard, well, it's not that the negligence is a harder case. So when it comes to something like comparative negligence or contributory negligence, the primary negligent party still could be wholly negligent. But then they could say, well, somebody else had maybe a last clear chance to avoid this travesty, or that there's some other cause, and this is a whole law school year talking about causation in a class called torts. Did our negligence cause her death, or was there some intervening cause, some superseding cause, something else that caused this child's death? So should the grandfather have had paid more attention, paid more care? Now, here we're talking about, again, negligence can be in a civil aspect, which is like no criminal, no jail time, essentially.
Right.
Or is it just money that we're talking about? Like, so if the grandpa's found to be negligent in some way, then the cruise ship or the window manufacturer, whoever else it may be, their compensation to the family could be reduced because the grandpa knew or should have known. Yeah, but it's still horribly sad. I don't know, like, there's no amount of money brings a toddler back.
No.
So
my theory about the window thing, just quickly, because I know we got to wrap it. The suggestion of the cleanness of the windows. Okay. I've never had someone say to me, Joanne, look through that window, and there actually isn't a window there. Okay. I've only ever had someone accidentally walk into a window. Okay.
Yeah.
I've never had someone accidentally assume there's a window when there isn't. That is a lot hard. Like, the human eye can decipher that relatively easily.
I think if we had a human eye perception expert to testify as to that.
You think they would?
Yeah. I mean, even if...
Do you see what I mean, though? It's similar to me being like, Joanne, look through that window, and you're like, Jordan, there is no window there.
But that's just the thing.
And I'm like, yeah, there is.
If all other windows, let's put it this way.
Yeah.
And this would be what the eye expert would say, or the visual perception expert would say at a trial like this would be, even if all the other windows had even a fraction of a tint on it, could all the other closed windows tint have helped to differentiate the open windows from the closed windows? And that actually happens a lot in slip and fall cases. If I'm litigating those, there's something called the coefficient of friction, where they test like how slippery something is. And there's technically no like right or wrong, but different thresholds can be set for it was just too slippery given these circumstances, given this footwear. But Yeah, I'd be interested to see. I don't think that there's going to be any repercussions on the grandfather's actions or inactions. It seems like it's all on the cruise ship at this point.
Wow.
But it would not surprise me if they tried to point their fingers somewhere else.
Well, if we hear an update, we'll bring it. We are going to try to do this weekly again.
Yes.
Are we?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. We're going to try to do this weekly. And yeah, I mean, how long were we today? I have no idea because it doesn't actually, does it give us the time? It doesn't even give us the time. But
well, I personally would love to know if you guys have any comments about this gadget that we're using, whether you like it, you don't like it.
There's for sure going to be some figuring out period, that's for sure. Like where it thinks my shirt is a face because it has an Instagram symbol on it. Whoa, there's my face.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like Joanne said, if you have any feedback or ideas, hit us up. And if not, we will see you next week.
For episode 12.
12. All right.
Bye.
Goodbye.